So this is the better one. Now, okay, so let's take a moment and take a peek at these custom enclosures I made. This is the rear deck, and these are 2 boxes that I made from scratch. And the reason I did this instead of the store-bought totes is because I wanted it to fit flush and be removable. So for my initial tuning, I need to be able to get to the carburetor from down here, and then from there on, I don't like boats to be inaccessible. Anything on my boats, I want it to be able to be removed on the water, and that goes for all decking access. It's not as big of a deal, you know, when you're dealing with an area that has no mechanical guts inside it that are hidden. But when you have an inboard setup like this, you know, it's important that you can get to everywhere around this entire engine bay. At least for me. I don't want to have things that are permanent once the deck's on and then it's too difficult to get to it. So here's the enclosures I made. I used angle aluminum to weld up this rim, and when I had the rim fit in here the way I wanted it to, I used cardboard and duct tape. I just made a cardboard box attached to the rim. You can see bits of the cardboard that's stuck to the fiberglass. It's not a big deal, you know, this is going to be all hidden. But yeah, you just make your box out of cardboard, and when you have what you want taped all up nice and firm, you hit it with cooking oil, spray the whole thing down, cover the cardboard with cooking oil, let it soak, wipe off any standing oil, and then you just mat your fiberglass down right over top of it. Peel off your mold, and then I pop riveted around the rim here, and then went ahead and sprayed it with 5 coats of Plasti Dip. I didn't use any filler because I don't really care. It's got a nice rubbery finish, but you can see that blotchiness is because it's raw fiberglass that I didn't fill in, but that's fine with me. There's no sharp edges or anything. It's removable, number 1, and it fits what I need. Then the other one over here is a shallower one. That one I do have 1 rivet in it because I won't need to get over there. If I do, I'd have to come back to the shop, grind off the rivet head, and then that box will pop out. So yeah, that's how you do it. And then your hinge closes right on top of it. Alright, so hinges. This is the piano hinge that I used. It comes in 36 inches. It's aluminum piano hinge. It's real flexible, very unstable in its raw form. Even if you mount it in its raw form like this, it's not the greatest to use it this way for boats. Here's a small length, a 1-foot section for a small hatch door of my finished piano hinge after building the hinge. So what you're looking at is we've got 1.5 inch angle aluminum and 3/4 inch angle aluminum. So 2 pieces of angle, and this piece, where the lid actually mounts onto, okay, so it would sit in the boat like this, and your door lid would be here. And so you want the larger angle is obviously where your door affixes to. This attaches to the frame itself, so you're actually attaching your lid to the frame of the boat when you do offset piano hinges using angle like this. Not to mention it, you can't bend it after you do this. It becomes much more stable. So for the piano hinges, you want to make them in bulk. So right there is a piece of angle aluminum, and right next to it on the left is 2 stacked separate pieces of hinge. So if you were going to be building this is just an example, if you were going to be building a hinge right now, you would need an additional piece of another angle aluminum. So fabricate them in bulk, and if you're not sure of exactly how much you're going to need, all you do is come in once you have your deck boards cut. You don't even have to have your lids done. Once your boards are cut, you can just come into each deck board and measure the opening where the hinge is going to be, and add up all the lengths of the doors that you're going to have, all the hinge lengths. Here's a shot of the piano hinge on the front of the boat. This is the anchor door right here. The offset hinges with 2 pieces of angle. The way I did it was make the deck board first, carpet it, put the deck board on, and then I inserted these in and just pressed them tight against the carpeted deck board real firmly on this side and then on the far side. And while you're pressing it firmly up against it, I marked it right there. You can see the 2 marks. So I installed these after the carpeted deck boards were laid in for test fitment, and it works fine. Sorry about the heater going. I just wanted to share this quick tip, since this is one of my, well, definitely my most legit boat build. I'm going to show you what I'm doing here for preparing to screw the first frontmost deck board down. You can see all the blue tape up and down the sides. I got one here that's labeled gas for these gas lines. The front deck board will come to about here, so that tape will stick out in front just to show me where there's a gas hazard for drilling through. And then these side ones, you can just put a piece of tape that lines them up. See, there's a tape on the far end and one here, so I can just lay a straight edge across that deck board in all these locations, and it'll show me a nice line of where the support bars are. And then like up here I have end tabs on both sides, which will be completely hidden, so you just mark them, put a piece of tape, and then draw lines to show you more acutely exactly where your beams lie. Here's a shot of my hatches that I'm building. I'm using radiant barrier heat shield in a roll. It's like a foam insulation. It's like the bubble packing stuff with heat barrier on it. I use that to fill the gap up to the carpet so that it's all flush height wise, and then I'll come in with this yoga mat and mate that right up to the trim of the door, that edge right there, so that then what I'm left with is a nice finished panel that looks proper. It's just standard yoga mat from Amazon. For a 16-foot boat you need 2 rolls, and the radiant barrier sheeting you won't need as much that it's sold in, but it's cheap stuff too. And then you can paint your staples black, the tops of them. Just spray paint them black so that the staples hide better. So that's how I'm doing the hatches. And then I'm just going with a standard webbing pull on all of them. Just the nylon, 1-inch nylon webbing as hatch pulls. Comes in a roll. And then here's one of the hatches fully upholstered and finished. You just staple around the edge as close as you can get. And you don't even have to bother adding any other types of trim to cover up that staple edge because it looks legit just like that. And then I just go with the webbing pulls. I don't bother with any type of latches or handles. I don't have these screwed on. These are just loose set in here, but that's how it goes. I just wanted to do a quick shot to show how I'm making the engine cowling cover. That's the deck board, the blue stained plywood, and underneath that is the exhaust pipe that sticks up above the deck. So what I did was I trimmed up my piece of wood to make it how I wanted it to fit that with the pipe sticking out of it, and then I just took shop rags and jammed them in, humping it all around that area, giving it about an inch of clearance everywhere. And then I taped over everything. Well, I guess I did use some aluminum foil. I aluminum foiled over all the rags and then folded it up around the brim closely to the edge and taped that down. And then I taped over everything, encased it in tape, which made it firmer. And then right before I laid the glass down, I hit it with an anti-mold material. You can spray it with cooking oil so that it pops right off after it hardens. But I used, I didn't have cooking oil, so I used silicone spray. You could use butter, grease, anything, Vaseline, to coat the surface before you fiberglass it. That way it refuses the adhesion and it'll pop right off there when you're done, and then you can clean it up. So I added some vent louvers in there. I just used foam, cut up pieces of foam. You can't really see them quite yet, but you'll see in the finished product there's, you know, 5 vent looms carved into that. So I'll be able to come back and then cut them open and it'll have a vent. Let's see how it turns out.